And we are live. Howdy folks, this is Tony here, and in this video, I want to make a tier list of all of the Dave Ramsey Show personalities. Now, I listen to the Ramsey Show on the way home from work on the radio. I also watch a lot of their videos on YouTube, and have been doing so for the past couple of years. So I've developed some opinions of how I feel about most of the hosts on the Ramsey Show. So this video is going to be purely opinion-based, and if the Ramsey Show and any of the people that work there ever find this video and you want to respond to it, you have my full permission to use my footage in your review. Do your thing, I don't care. So let me explain how this tier list system works. S stands for superior. These A, B, C, and D letters are all letter grades like what you would get in school, and question mark just means I don't know enough about you to give an honest review. One last thing before I get started, I just want to say that I did not use the tier maker website in order to make this tier list. I just used basically a black background and some images I found on DuckDuckGo, and I threw it all together in Google Sheets. Excuse me, not Google Sheets, actually, Google Slides. So let's get started. First, I'm going to review Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey easily goes in A tier. He's the inventor of the show. He is the gold standard by which all the other ones are measured. He gives pretty solid financial advice, provided that you have the resources and ability to act on what he's telling you. But otherwise, he has a very sage-like and wise approach. He's a very compelling speaker, and he's kind of like the grandpa we all wish we had, where you could just sit around a campfire and listen to him give you life advice. In fact, he could probably read a recipe of Rice Krispie treats and make it sound compelling. So easily A tier. He gives pretty solid advice, and I love how insistent he is that we stay away from debt, stay away from credit cards, and save up for our dreams. Well done, Dave. Next, we have Rachel Cruz's daughter. Now, maybe it's because she's a newer speaker or her oratorical style is not as polished. Maybe it's because, in my opinion, she maybe pauses a little too much between her words or says a little much. She gives really solid advice like her father does, but I feel as though her presentation style needs to be improved a bit. She needs a little more time. So I'd put her solidly in B tier. I would say that she is worth 0.85 Dave Ramseys. So Rachel Cruz is 85% Dave Ramsey, in my opinion. That's why she's solidly in the B tier. This represents 100. Dave Ramsey was a 100. Rachel Cruz is an 85. Ellis, pretty much the same. I have the same critiques of her as I do of Rachel Cruz. So solidly B tier. Honestly, I would say the same about George Kamel as well. I feel as though he's a bit shy. Whenever I hear him on the radio on the way home from work, he's kind of, I don't know how I would say it, hesitant, shy. He's not as assertive in the way that he delivers his points. So because of that, I would say he's probably worth about 0.8 Dave Ramseys, and Ellis and Cruz are both worth 0.85 Ramseys. This is the B team right here if for some reason we couldn't hear from Dave. No disrespect, but I have no idea who you are or you. Sorry, I guess it has to do with what time I happen to tune into the show. Anyway, let's move on here. Now we've got Ken Coleman. Now, Ken Coleman, I have personally benefited from his generosity. I called the show once while he was hosting, and I told him about some of the questions that I had, and he actually sent me a free copy of From Paycheck to Purpose, and his chapter on the proximity principle was really useful, and it really did influence my outlook on making connections and how those can benefit you, because before I had just been one of those send 1,000 applications out on Indeed type individuals, but now I believe there's a different approach that is necessary for success, all thanks to this guy. Not only that, but I love the way he shreds some of the dishonest bosses and some of the dishonest hiring practices that are used throughout the business world. This guy is very solid. No offense, Dave, but I feel as though Ken Coleman is in A tier. I feel as though he's worth 1.1 Dave Ramseys. Now we have the last but certainly not least, by far, my favorite personality on the Ramsey Show, John Deloney. This guy comes with the career advice and the life advice. The way he sits down and makes you feel listened to, the way he will ask, how do you feel? This man really makes you think. He makes you think about your life, your finances, your marriage. He always brings up the big picture. He's the father that those of us who grew up in fatherless homes, he's the father that we wish we had. And so because of that, I find his presentation style so compelling. He is worth 5 Dave Ramseys. Dave Ramsey's a 100. Ken Coleman is a 110. John Deloney is a 500 easily. No offense, Dave, you're great, but this guy, man. If for some tragic, unimaginable reason, Dave Ramsey were kidnapped by the Russian Spetsnaz and unable to perform his show, if you gave us in his place a team of John Deloney and Ken Coleman, I would be sad for Dave and his situation, but more than satisfied in terms of the advice I would receive. It would be a dream for me to get a show or a live hosting where I get to see Dave Ramsey, John Deloney, and Ken Coleman all together. I consider these guys to be the top tier, and that is my opinion of the Ramsey Show personalities. Have a great day, everyone. Tony out.